Okay, welcome to the Get Signed and Succeed podcast, episode 22, Craig?
Absolutely. Rolling.
Episode 22. Man, we are just rolling along here. Bruce Badgley, Craig Cox, our buddy Andrew Cohen will be joining us momentarily. But as we talked about, we've done 22 episodes here. And one of the things that we talk about in this show all the time are these episodes are all available on your website there, Craig. One of one, life skills. Why don't you put your screen up there real quick and let's start the show by showing everybody what they're missing if they're not taking advantage of this wealth of information.
Right. So if you go to oneofonelifeskills.com and you click on the videos tab at the top, and this page is pretty much solely dedicated to our Get Signed and Succeed podcast. So it's going to have all the videos, all the episodes of the podcast we've done so far, all the other 21 episodes. I make sure that I update this every week. Well, usually twice a week, so that the link is in there, and you can always go back and watch any of the other episodes. Two of the other episodes that you might want to look at if you're signed in tonight about highlight films is episode 7, is where we had Coach Cohen's brother, Dave Cohen, who is the assistant head coach at Wake Forest University, and on there about talking what coaches want to see in a highlight film. And the other one, I believe, was episode 17, where we showed when we really broke down highlight films by position. So it's not just about highlight films. We talk about all the things that's going to help you be a better recruit. And at the end of the day, it's pretty much what you're looking for, isn't it, Badgley?
Yeah, it really is. It is not only, it is a complete package. Literally, it is so intertwined. If anybody's paid attention to all of our episodes, and I think if anybody who's new to the program can go back through and watch all these, it's all intertwined. Okay, a great highlight tape doesn't mean anything if you're not getting it in front of coaches. And everything related to getting it in front of coaches with the social media, with all the information related to life skills and academia. I mean, we've done the deep dive on even focusing on schools of higher academics as well. So I mean, we've kind of done it all. We're kind of going back through and kind of doing our greatest hits, even though it's our regular show here. But we've obviously got a lot of history on what players are interested in, what families are interested in, and that's why we continue to revisit these topics, because it just seems like we're getting a lot more new people to the podcast, and B, that they can't get enough of certain topics like social media, like highlights. Right.
Let me talk about these buttons right here at the top of the page. If you have a suggestion for an episode, or your family has a suggestion, or if you're a coach and want to see something talked about for an episode, click on that button and let us know what you think. Give us some recommendations on future episodes. And if you have just any general questions about recruiting, that's a way to get in touch with either Coach Cohen or myself. The next button here, this Get Recruited Consulting. That's Coach Cohen's website. And then here we have to get a film evaluation from him and sign up is this Calendly link to the right of that. And here's Coach Badgley's, and I call him Coach now because he didn't put his dues in. Coach Badgley, Sports Solutions Marketing website. Yeah. So, and all the information, we're easy to get in touch with. So we always put our phone numbers, and it's our cell phone numbers. And we always put our Twitter, Facebook. You can always reach through our website. So make sure you reach out to us. If you have any suggestions for some future shows, feel free to throw them out there at us. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you stop the share there, and then I'll bring up, the contact information. as well here. And oops, I hit the wrong button, obviously. But we'll get back to my where I need to go, which is to the program, and we'll get your contact information up right now so everybody can see there Coach Cohen's information, um, as well as Coach Cox. And, if you guys have any questions, if your families have any questions, that phone number is always available there for really anybody to take advantage of to, give them a quick call, and say, hey, I just saw this. What's your opinion of this? And or an ability to send a text. I'm sure that, sometimes people would rather send a text, or they're not in an ability to take a phone call, or, yourself. So texting is always welcome as well, as we, move through the, the week and everything like that. So, but anyway, I guess we're just gonna get started
Hey,
here. I know.
let me do one more screen share for you.
Uh-oh, one more screen share. Here we go. I think I know what's coming.
Here we go. Our Tales from the Road segment, first week.
Tales
I wish
from
I
the
could get
road.
that full screen so you get the full effect.
I think that's
Looks pretty
okay.
good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
So,
Now, Tales from the Road. I mean, this is the one thing that I get a lot of feedback from players, from families, out on the road. And what I mean by the road is that, I cover high school football. It goes back to, really the beginning of September, kind of the tales that Coach Cohen and I had actually doing the Mid-Atlantic Pigskin Classic for the Maxwell Football Club down in Delaware. And boy, I tell you what, that was a great opportunity. We got to see a lot of teams from New Jersey, from Delaware, from Pennsylvania, all types of teams, and skill levels and what have you. And that's the thing. The tale that I can say from the road is that unequivocally, people and families and players are looking for help with their recruiting. If where to go, where to turn, what to put on. And, that's what we're all about. And that's what this podcast is all about, is to trying to get information out to the players and out to the families on how to get to the next level. And it's going to be the best that we can give you. And I'll tell you what, that's what I can say about the road, is the fact that everywhere I go, it's the same message. And that is, players and families need help in getting recruited to play college football. That's for sure. Right, Craig?
you're absolutely right. There's so much to the process. I mean, um, even as coaches, I've coached over 20 some years of college football. Coach Cohen has coached over 20 some years. Both of us. I've been in Division I, Division II. Coached everything from Division III all the way to Division I, and we're always learning as well, especially as the process is changing. That's why we talk so much about social media, because it's that part of the recruiting process that has really pushed the most change in the recruiting process. And we talked about this last week, but 90% of coaches find players. It's an NCAA study. 90% of coaches find players through some form of social media, and 80% of them, that's how they communicate, because it's a lot easier to communicate just direct messaging on Twitter. I don't have to worry about, is it the right time of year for me to call you? I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I can just message you on Twitter and say, call me, give me a call. And then I'm in the clear. I don't have to worry about any NCAA violation. I get to talk with you. So that's why most coaches are going to be using social media.
And that's why families and, coaches and what have you should be working with gentlemen such as yourself and Coach Cohen, is the fact that you're not really bound by any NCAA, items. And so I think that we might as well just dive in. We're about 11 minutes into the broadcast here, but the one thing that we see now, obviously, we're kind of getting barraged across social media, and in a good way. I'm tagged all the time by players who now have put together their mid-season highlights. Okay. You were Division II coach. Here comes Coach Cohen.
Perfect timing. And I
Perfect
was
timing.
already talk good about Get Recruited Consulting. I can hold that till later. It's not fun talking good about him when he's there.
And there he is. Hopefully, we probably can hear him. Can't quite see him yet.
It just disappeared. I don't know what happened.
You missed all the fun.
Yeah, we missed all the fun there. Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
to go back and watch.
Exactly. He's going to have to go back. His assignment for this week is to go back and actually watch the show from the beginning here. But we've been very good here. And there he is. Mr. Get Recruited Consulting himself, Coach Andrew Cohen. How you doing? Great. I know
well.
you had kind of some important business to finish up, but glad to have you.
I apologize. Are we on the air right now?
We are
Yes,
on
sir.
the air. We are live, baby.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
rolling.
sorry about that, but when
that's
clients
okay.
call, you got to prioritize them. We had a little thing we had to work through, but we're good to go. Sorry about that.
No worries. But actually, we were just at the point that we were talking about all of all the mid-season highlights that are getting put out there, across social media and by players and what have you. And one of the things that we talked a little bit about this earlier today, Coach Cohen, are these college coaches are very busy. Do they actually have time to kind of sort through all of the videos that are coming out there and really focus on that?
So I don't want to point the finger, but is that Coach Cox? Is that something we discussed that you were going to hit, or you want me to?
No,
hit?
that was yours.
That was yours.
We take good notes.
Okay.
But I can talk about it if you want.
No, I'm good. I don't have my notes in front of me. I left it downstairs. But all right. So with that being said, there's different levels of that. So there's student athletes that if they aspire to play Division I, then even as a 9th grader or a 10th grader, then you got to get your film out and get it evaluated. Okay. I would say that Ivy League schools and even high academic Division III, they're starting to watch films as 10th grader when someone's a 10th grader. Now, understand that, they can't get to all the film. And very honestly, that's where, I was just discussing with someone the other day that you used to have VHS tapes. So the accessibility to tapes was not nearly as good as it is now, because now they can just go on Huddle or Max Preps. The good of that is they can see a lot of film. The bad is they physically cannot get through all of that film. They can't. So very honestly, are they watching it? Yes, but they can only watch so many, or that's where very realistically, someone like myself, Get Recruited Consulting, when I'm able to reach out and when I'm able to say, hey, I got a good player for you, they do want to pay attention to that, and they will watch the film because they know we're not going to send them a kid unless he's a good fit for their program. I do believe if you're a family and you're doing that on your own, it will take a lot of work and probably not a great response from the college coaches if you're sending it out mid-season. But if you have someone that they, like myself, that they have a relationship with, that they trust, then they will respond. They will, and it is important. If you're a senior, it's an absolute must if you haven't committed already. And then if you're a junior, you do want to start getting out there for pretty much all levels. And then sophomore and 9th graders, I think, it's definitely good for everyone to get it out there, but especially good if you want to play at the scholarship Division I level. So hopefully I've answered that question.
Yeah, I think so. And Craig, obviously, you coached at the college level for many years. Talk a little bit about, when you got a highlight tape in front of you, what you were actually looking for.
Well, we're talking about mainly, mid-season highlights because of the time constraints coaches have. Usually they only have an hour here or a couple hours there. to really sit down and try to catch up on some highlight film, put your best stuff forward. You know, a mid-season highlight film should be short and with your best plays in it. And make sure there's things that really show your talent at different, you know, aspects in whatever position you play. So if you're an offensive lineman, make sure you show a pass drop or two. Make sure you show a great run block, getting off the ball. You know, and you know, of course, I'm not gonna go position by position, but you know, if you're a defensive back, make sure you show that you're backpedaling. You got good hips. You can turn and run. You'll break up and change direction and tackle. Of course, anybody who plays defense better be able to tackle. And you know, just from position by position, make sure that you show something at each phase of your position. Even if you can't show it on film, even if it's a clip in the weight room that shows your explosiveness, even if it's a clip on the basketball court that shows you can dunk a basketball as a big guy, or even if it's a 7-on-7 clip, if you're a receiver and all I see is 9 routes, you know, go routes. I mean, that's not telling us a whole lot about can you run routes good? You know, are you catching with your hands when the ball thrown at you? You're going to take a hit and your yards after catch type of stuff. So if you need to get that in some 7-on-7, do it. But just put your best clips forward. Coach, I just guessing, I would say 10 clips is pretty much a good midseason highlight film.
Someone asked me that question today, and I said 10 to 12. Yeah. And I will just add quickly to what you're saying, like you want to show a range of skills for your position. Obviously, if you play offensive line, it's going to be different skills that you're looking for. And we've covered this in past shows, but compared to like a defensive back, but speed, quickness, strength, explosiveness, all those types of things, but show a range of your skills, not just, you know, if you're a lineman, don't only show run blocking, you know, show the ability to pass set, show the ability to pull or move in space. Those are just quick examples. So sorry to step on your.
No, that's actually a great comment. And in fact, I just have a follow-up question for you, Andrew. And that is, you know, a lot of times, you know, these guys, you know, players or whatever like that, you know, they may be translating to a different position at the next level. So, you know, what are some of the best things for these guys that may be need to translate to a different position at the next level? Is there something in the highlight tape that they should put in there to, you know, to accomplish that?
I don't know if you can specifically accomplish that except do what Coach Cox says, and that's show your best plays. Show your best plays first, especially irrelevant of if it's game 1 or 5. Your first 3 to 5 plays have to be your very best plays from the year. And if they're not excited, they're going to go off. They're going to turn the film off. So they have to be excited. So hopefully that helps. And like I said, if you show, you know, a range of skills, it's their job to decide where they want to play you. And besides the Power 5 Division I schools, most of the kids are getting there's going to be some form of flaws, and they're going to have to decide where they can project a player. Not really a flaw, but like, hey, he's 6'2" and he's not 6'5", or he runs a 4.7, he doesn't run a 4.5, you know, whatever it might be. But they're going to make a projection, and that's how you have to project if you're like an FCS or Division II, any level. You know, if you want to get like a kid that you might consider a steal, he might not have it, but you're projecting him to get bigger. You're projecting him that he's going to get faster, but you make projections, and that's a lot of times how you get your best players. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, one of the things that both you and Coach Cox have is this film evaluation. And a film evaluation is what? Why don't you just maybe explain a little bit about, you know, in your $59 deal here, what the film evaluation entails?
First, it's a film evaluation where we're going to mention the positives, if there are any negatives, what you can do to improve, and what level of player you are. But I'm a firm believer that before you start this recruiting process, having a professionals like Coach Cox, myself, that coached at the college level, that understand what it takes to play at all levels, So you have an idea of what level you are now. And if you're younger, a ninth grader, a 10th grader, or even a junior, there is still time to make improvements. But, we might say, hey, you're a Division II player now. And if you improve A, B, and C, we think you could be a Division I player. So that's how we have to project things. But social media assessment, we want to see really what you're doing on Twitter, how many followers you have, how many things are actually, what kind of things are you posting? Are you posting the right things? Are you doing it frequently enough? Academic evaluation would be Coach Cox, and he's going to go over what kind of, you're going to send us a transcript. What kind of classes are you taking? What is your core GPA, not just your overall grade point average? What kind of schools might be realistic for your grades? We're doing all this on a phone call, and you are also able to ask us any questions regarding the recruiting process in general. So I really believe it. We're giving a special rate for $59.99. It was $99.99. We really just want to get people on the phone and help them. And we think by going over those very important aspects of the recruiting process, we can really steer you in the right direction.
Correct. And I mean, this show is, about highlights, but quite honestly, if there isn't everything, I mean, Craig, you talk about all the time. You've got to have a plan for every aspect of the recruiting process. You've got to have a plan on each individual item, which we're talking about, highlights, but you can't leave anything else out of the process if someone really wants to get to the next level, correct?
Absolutely. And that's what I love about Coach Cohen and what he does, because he's really going to help students come up with that plan. He's going to be honest with you and what level of you should be looking into, what schools you should be looking into, from an academic end, what schools are you going to be able to get into. I've seen too many kids waste so much time pursuing schools and coaches that they don't have a chance to get in those schools, or even a chance for the coach to evaluate their film. That's the difference with Coach Cohen. He's not going to just blast emails out. He has relationships with these coaches. He's going to call the coaches directly, and he's going to help each parent and student with a plan for success. And that's the key. Like you said, if you don't have a plan, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, and this question is for Coach Cohen here. How important is it for these players to have an idea, to have that plan, related, to their highlights, and having, this you talk about though, but having this third party, tell them the way it is.
I think there's a lot more to this recruiting process than most families understand. There's a very important what we do. There's a developmental part, mentor part, where we want to make sure that we're helping them keep track on weekly calls to make sure that they're getting faster. So what is your running workouts, lifting workouts, stretching, diet, sleep, academics? And then we have our guys work with Coach Cox as well on specific study habits and time management and things. But I think it's really important that they understand that it's great that we're helping you, in terms of reaching out to colleges and getting answers, but we're not really helping you if we don't help you become a better student athlete, a more marketable student athlete. So that's something we take a lot of pride in. And the kids that work with us and follow our lead, they're definitely helping themselves achieve at an even higher level. Okay, so that's really important. And then having someone like us that has contacts, that is trusted by the college coaches, and that, not even just our skill level to be able to do that, but the time that we have to spend, that as a family, I don't know how you can call the coaches, text the coaches, message the coaches, go on Twitter. And that's why Go MBBs does such a great job with most of our clients, in that they are marketing our student athletes on social media. For football, the biggest thing is Twitter, but we're using all social media. But I do think that having, if it's someone like ourselves, if you go Google Andrew Cohen college football, and you'll see the different schools that I've worked at, I'm legitimately, and if you searched Coach Cox, you'd see the same thing. And the other guys on our staff, they've coached at different colleges, and I think immensely important. You know what I mean? And that we could call up people that we know and get you real answers. On your own, that's a tough deal. I think that the kids that are as a ninth grader and they're 6'7" and they're 300 and they can move, like that kid doesn't need help. I get that. They don't. Or the kids who's a ninth grader and he already runs a sub 4.5, if they even are guys like that. But I think that the majority of kids, that the regular people out there that are playing Division I, but maybe not at the top schools and not getting offered early, they need help. You know, so we have some Division I FBS kids, but a lot of our kids are FCS Division II, Division III, and even Division III now, it's getting more selective. They're taking less kids, and a lot of people make the assumption, oh, my kid can just play Division III, and it really isn't like that. It's extremely competitive.
And you know, we had our Tales from the Road segment waiting for you here, Andrew. And one of the things, obviously, I talked to a lot of kids. They send me their highlight tapes. You know, I'm retweeting them on social media. Talk to a lot of parents or whatever like that. Craig, I'm going to direct this question to you. When a lot of these parents and a lot of these players, they think that because they've had contact with a college coach, that they're, you know, that they're on their way. And quite honestly, that's probably the furthest thing from the truth, correct?
Yeah, I agree with you. And then I think that some people call it gaslighting, but you know, a coach can say something good, and all of a sudden, parents and students, they shut. You know, it might be a D1 coach that showed a little bit of interest. Now, so the parents and students are shutting down Division II and FCS because this FBS guy walked by and said hi to me. You know, understand that coaches are recruiting all the time, and they might see you at a camp and show you some interest. But they're going to go back and watch the film and look at your transcripts and look at the things, you know, to see if you're going to be a good fit for their institution. If not, you know, they're going to quickly move on. But they don't always say, hey, we moved on. You know, usually when coaches move on, they just move on. We don't have time to send thank you anyway letters to everybody that we watch and can't recruit. But no matter, even if you're getting a lot of interest, real legitimate interest in phone calls and direct messages from coaches from Division I schools, still never shut down your recruiting at the FCS or any level, because you just never know what the future holds. So you want to make maybe that Division I school is not the right fit for you academically. Maybe it's not the right fit for what you want to do as a major and with your career. So always leave your options open, because it's all about the more options you have, the better chance of making the right fit. And we don't just want to see you get to school. We want to see you matriculate and graduate. And then we want you to be successful at whatever it is in life you want to do.
And that's why, quite honestly, you know, it's great that your information is out there for any of these families and players to give you guys a call, to give you a text, to send you an email, you know, with their questions. And like I said, for me, it's, you know, I see and I talk to all these players and families week in and week out. And like I said, just because they've had contact with a coach doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing the right thing related to your college recruiting, and B, that the college is really truly, you know, interested in you. And that seems to me to be the overriding thing out there, because as you pointed out, Craig, so many of these schools, they at least have to, you know, be kind to you, you know, with the contact or whatever. But you know, true interest, and especially regarding, you know, a highlight tape, Andrew, what would you consider to be true interest, you know, from a college coach in what they're going to talk to a player about their highlight film?
So you asking me? I'm sorry. What is really?
If a coach is really interested in this player, what are some of the things that they're going to be talking to that player about? You know, maybe
Well, first
in their
of all,
highlight
it's going to
tape.
be a direct conversation. So emails that are when you look at an email and you say to yourself, anyone could have gotten this, then anyone probably did get it. So you want it to be personal. So that's usually going to be a phone call, a text message, or a message on Twitter. But even a lot of those are done in mass today. So you want to make sure that you're having real dialect with a real coach, back and forth conversation, and then, you know, that they're saying that they do like your film. And then from there, you want them to be saying specific things about what you did on the film that they did like. You know what I mean? Because they can put general things. They know you're a linebacker, and hey, you make a lot of big hits on your film. Well, I mean, you're linebackers, of course, you know, but you want it to be specifically pertaining to you. Maybe they mention your number. Maybe they mention a specific team you played. Maybe they mention your coach. Maybe they mention, hey, that was a great pick where you caught the pick with one hand and you did so and so with it, you know. But you want it to be where it's, you know, it's specifically about you, and that they truly know who you are.
Yeah, and as we touched on, you know, having the evaluation of what they're putting on this film, so very important. You know, and in the scheme of things, Andrew, in the entire recruiting process, you know, it's very difficult, I guess, to weight any one particular item, but a film of a player's you know, scope of work, how much would you weight that in the whole recruiting process on what that actually means? Out of 100%, is it 60%, 50% of
I
what
don't I
that?
don't have a number, but I would say that the film would probably be proportionately would be the most important part. But then there's the transcript. Then there's, hopefully they're doing a good job in checking your character. And then from there, you know, does he play hard? Is he smart? I mean, there's a lot of things. The good programs are finding out everything about you, because if you just did the film alone, it could be very difficult. The film is the most important. I mean, hey, you don't move forward if you don't like their film. So if you don't like their film, it's off. But if it's good, maybe not great, but yet he's been a captain for 2 years. He's obviously he's a leader. He's tough. Every opponent loves him. You know, just what are those intangibles that they're bringing to the table that can make you check more boxes? That is important. So hopefully I wasn't too wishy-washy, but
And
I think
No.
in our last consultation, Coach, we did answer a lot of questions in regards to the highlight film and as far as what we need to see in it, and what, you know, what we saw, what we didn't see, what we thought might improve the film. So, you know, again, that's part of that $59 deal. We're going to evaluate the film, but we're also going to tell you what you need to do to make yourself a more recruitable student athlete.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
absolutely. And so I'm going to have a final question to both each of you. I'll let you talk about this. Craig, when you were evaluating a tape, what was the one thing that you were always looking for in a highlight tape?
If it's a defensive player, I want to see him hit. And if it's an offensive player, I want to see explosiveness. I want to see a playmaker.
Andrew?
It's a pretty hard question, because I think you'd have to ask that for each position. But I think defensively, I had like 2 or 3 things for each position, but for every position, it would be a motor. That means they're playing nonstop hard. Those kids will make it somehow, some way. Offensively, if it's a skill player, it would have to be explosiveness. You know, a receiver, a running back, their ability to explode and run past people. And then for a lineman, it would have to be, number one would have to be physicality.
Yeah, no,
So,
I mean,
but there's so much to it. Like,
there's so much to it. I mean, you know, and that's the thing, and that's why, just what we talked about, it's important to get that third party evaluation of what's actually on that tape, because you know, and that's why I was trying to drive at, you know, how much is the film evaluation, you know, weighted in the entire process there, because you know, obviously it's very important, but we talk about the fact of there is just one thing that if you had it, that you could get recruited. It's the compilation of all of the items hitting on all cylinders and actually getting in front of the coaches. And that's really what this package does. And B, this is the service that both you and Craig provide by having the personal touch and the direct line of communications all times of the year with these college coaches, right?
For sure. And we're working on something with Coach's Tool right now. And that's a company that is one of the things they're doing right now is having some ways of totaling your evaluation. So in our future evaluations that we do, you're going to have a grade by position, the 6 or 7 most important characteristics that college coaches are looking for on a 1 to 5 scale. And then we'll do a total number and be able to tell you that you're in a range of Division III, Division II, or Division I. And I think that's a huge element because we have a strong idea of what the colleges are looking for at each level. So we're here to help people and be honest, but I'll obviously also be positive at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. Absolutely right. Craig, any final thoughts?
I'm excited we finally got our Tales from the Road episode. Again, Coach Cohen, you have to go back and watch the beginning of this. We put a lot of work into that graphic. You know, the graphic looked scary. The tail wasn't very scary. I was a little bit let down because I wanted to be scared by the Tales from the Road. But I guess, Badge, if you don't know much about recruiting and it's time for your kid to get recruited, I guess that's kind of scary, right?
That's why we do this show. And that's why I'm involved in this show, because I feel that so many, kids and families are so much in the dark of, this whole process, Andrew, and Craig. I mean, and it seems to be getting more complex, as it goes along here. And it's constantly morphing, with social media, with the transfer portal, with what's going to hit us next. With NIL, I mean, it is a an ever-changing process that obviously, you talk about dealing with the professionals, and that's really you two gentlemen. And I'm honored to be involved in this show, and glad that, hopefully we can point some kids in the right direction. So, but I guess next week we're actually going to have a webinar, right, guys? This will be a kind of an invite-only webinar that during the week we'll send out some information on how to sign up, and much more in tune to getting some individual questions and individual topics as well, right, guys?
That sounds good. We're excited to see you guys next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure that you join us for our webinar next week. Craig, Mr. Information there, Mr. Graphics there. He'll get us some good stuff out there. And we look forward to everybody joining us for our webinar next week. And should be same time, 7:30 Sunday evening. And looking forward to that. So, gentlemen, listen, thank you so much. Learned a lot, on the highlights here. And next week with our webinar, really cover all the topics once again. So for Coach Cox, Coach Cohen, my name's Bruce Badgley, and we'll see you Sunday for our special webinar on college recruiting. Take care, gang. So long.
Take care.